We are 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily picks on BrockPage.com. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at BrockPage.com. We're also hitting at 76% in our last 26 extra daily picks in that very same category I just mentioned. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We currently have over 1,035 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you find yourself really enjoying this video here today, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and join the Brock Page family. I'd love to connect with you on a daily basis. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. Indiana takes on Syracuse, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Indiana's -2.5, totals 147. The 6-0 Hoosiers are scoring 78 points a game, and they rank in the top 20 in offensive field goal percentage. Trace Jackson Davis is scoring 20.5 points a game, 7 boards, 2.5 assists for the forward. Trace also has 23 total blocks thus far in the season. Meanwhile, Xavier Johnson is averaging nearly a dozen a game himself. 3 rebounds, 3 assists for Johnson. But it's not just all offense for the Hoosiers. They currently lead the NCAA in defensive field goal percentage. They're currently holding their opponents to just 32% shooting from the field. Indiana's giving up only 57 points per contest, and they also rank in the top 25 in defending the 3-ball as well. They're taking on a Syracuse team who's struggled defensively this year. They're allowing over 77 points per contest. They're having a pretty tough time defending the 3-ball. Syracuse has lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. When it comes to the total in this one, Syracuse's last 2 straight got over the number, 4-2 to the over for the whole year. Meanwhile, Indiana's most recent outing with Marshall got over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Indiana -2.5 over 147. Next ball game, Minnesota, Pitt, 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Minnesota's -2.5, totals 128. The undefeated Gophers are 4-1 against the spread in their 5 victories, and they're leading the nation in guarding the 3-ball. Minnesota's allowing their opponents to make only 21% of their 3-pointers against them. Minnesota's also holding their opponents to just 24 first-half points a game. Now, scoring-wise, Jamison Battles averaging over 17.5 points per contest, along with 6 rebounds. Meanwhile, Peyton Willis is scoring over 16.5 points a game himself, along with 5 boards, 3 assists. The senior is also drilling nearly 45% of his 3-pointers. They're taking on a Pittsburgh team who lost their last 2 straight, and that includes a double-digit loss to UMBC. Pitt also failed to cover the number in their last 3 straight, and they suffered a humiliating 15-point loss to Citadel a few games ago. The Panthers have been real bad offensively. They're scoring only 62 points per contest, and they're shooting just 27% from 3-land. Pitt's 5-1 to the under on the season. Minnesota saw their last 2 straight fall under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Minnesota -2.5, under 128. Next ball game, it is going to be Clemson, Rutgers, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are -1, totals 125. But despite being favored in this one, Rutgers lost their last 3 straight, and that includes a humiliating defeat to Lafayette College. The Scarlet Knights scored just 51 total points in that loss to the Leopards. And even worse than that, Rutgers has failed to cover the point spread in all 6 of their contests for the entire season. Rutgers is scoring just 66 points per game, and they're shooting only 24% from beyond the arc. Geo Baker's also questionable with a lower body injury. They're taking on a 5-2 Clemson team who successfully covered the point spread in 5 out of their last 6. The Tigers have done a superb job shooting the three ball. As a matter of fact, the Tigers are in the top 3 in the nation in offensive three-point percentage. They're drilling over 44% of their three-pointers for the season. Clemson's also in the top 20 in offensive field goal percentage as well. Overall, just shooting the basketball quite well. P.J. Hall scoring over 13.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, 47% shooting from three-land. Meanwhile, Alamir Dawes is drilling 49% of his three-pointers himself, 12 points a game and 4 rebounds for the guard. Now defensively, Clemson's giving up just 61 points a game, and they're limiting their competition to just 29% shooting from downtown. 2 out of Clemson's last 3 got over the number. Meanwhile, Rutgers went 3-1 to the over in their last 4. 4-2 to the over for the whole season. Give me Clemson +1 over 125. Next ball game, North Dakota State versus Creighton, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Creighton's -7.5, totals 136. The Blue Jays have won 6 of 7 to start the season, and they're in the top 20 in the nation in offensive field goal percentage. R.J. Nembhard is scoring over 13 points a game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists for the guard. He's also shooting 48% from three-land. Meanwhile, Ryan Hawkins is scoring over 13 points a night himself, along with 7 rebounds. Now defensively, the Blue Jays allowed just 67 points a game. And they're holding their opponents to just 40% shooting from the field. They're taking on a Bison program who failed to cover in their last 3 straight, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. North Dakota State is struggling offensively. They're scoring only 66 points a game, and they're shooting only 29% from beyond the arc. Now, total-wise, 3 out of the Bison's last 5 fell under the line. Meanwhile, Creighton's 5-2 to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward Creighton -7.5, under 136. Next contest, Northwestern versus Wake Forest, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The Demon Deacons are -1.5, totals 143. Now, the Deeks failed to cover in their last 2 straight. One of those failures to cover was a 14-point loss to LSU. The Deeks are allowing nearly 38 second-half points a game. Meanwhile, offensively, they've actually been having difficulties rebounding the basketball. They're taking on a 5-1 Northwestern team who scores 82 points a game, and they're shooting nearly 40% from three-land. Pete Nance is scoring over 17.5 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists for the forward. Nance is also drilling nearly 48% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Boo Buie is scoring 17.5 points per contest himself, 2 boards, 6 assists for the guard. Now defensively, the Cats are holding their opponents to just 29 first-half points a game. They're also limiting their opponents to just 38% shooting from the field. 3 out of Northwestern's last 5 ball games got over the number. Wake Forest went 5-1 to the over in their last 6. Give me Northwestern +1.5, over 143. Next ball game, St. Louis versus Boise State, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Boise's -2.5, totals 137. The Broncos have lost 3 out of their last 5. And that includes a 7-point loss to Cal State Bakersfield, where they scored a pathetic 39 points in the ball game. As a matter of fact, the Broncos are averaging only 29 first-half points a game, and they're shooting a dismal 27% from three-land. They're taking on a 6-1 Billikens team who has no problem scoring. St. Louis is in the top 5 in the country in scoring on average per game. Gibson Jimerson is scoring over 16.5 points per contest, 40% shooting from three-land. Meanwhile, Martin Linson scoring 12 points a game himself, along with 4 rebounds. The Billikens are averaging over 88 points per contest. They also rank in the top 5 in the country in first-half scoring as well. Now, total-wise, I do have concerns about Boise's inability to score. They also saw their last 2 straight fall under the number, 5-1 to the under in their last 6. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis +2.5, under 137. Next game, Duke, Ohio State, 9:30 Eastern start time. Duke's minus 2.5, totals 147. The undefeated Blue Devils are 6-1 against the spread, depending on where you shopped at. Duke's averaging 86 points per contest, and they rank in the top 20 in the country in scoring on average per game. Paolo Banchero is scoring over 18 points a night, 7 rebounds, couple assists for the forward. Meanwhile, Wendell Moore Jr. is scoring 17 points per contest himself, along with 6 boards, 5 assists. Now, defensively, the Blue Devils are allowing just 64 points per contest. They're taking on an Ohio State team who lost 2 out of their last 3, and they've struggled to cover the point spread. The Buckeyes are just 2-4 against the number for the entire season, and they're allowing 39 second-half points per contest. And speaking of defense, Ohio State's doing a pretty lackluster job of rebounding the ball defensively. Now, total-wise, Ohio State's 5-0 to the over in their last 5 straight. Duke saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Duke minus 2.5 over 147. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily picks. I like Indiana minus 2.5 over 147. Minnesota minus 2.5 under 128. Clemson plus 1 over 125. Creighton minus 7.5 under 136. Northwestern plus 1.5 over 143. St. Louis plus 2.5 under 137. Duke minus 2.5 over 147. And as far as all the other games go, I like West Virginia minus 16 under 140.5. Chattanooga minus 5 over 130 and a hook. Davidson minus 4.5 over 130. Northeastern minus 6 under 135. UNC Greensboro minus 4 over 126.5. Manhattan minus 9 under 136. Furman minus 9 over 142. Mount St. Mary's minus 4.5 under 136. LIU plus 10 over 150. Georgetown minus 9 over 136.5. UConn minus 34.5 under 133. Texas A&M minus 15.5 over 137. I'm also leaning toward Old Dominion plus 5.5 over 128. Tennessee Volunteers minus 24 over 129 and a hook. Sacred Heart plus 3.5 under 136. SIENA plus 4.5 under 135. Florida State plus 11 over 142. South Dakota State minus 17 over 160 and a hook. I'm also leaning toward Ole Miss minus 15 over 133. Charleston minus 3.5 over $1.50. Give me Houston minus 31.5 under 138. SIU Edwardsville minus 1.5 under 134. Rice minus 2.5 under 140. Santa Clara minus 11.5 over 145. I'm also leaning toward this next team, and they are called Marquette minus 18 over 137. New Mexico plus 11 under 145.5. San Diego State minus 20 under 137 and a hook. Nevada minus 15 over 149.5. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are hitting at 76% in our last 26 extra daily picks on brockpage.com. I'm going to lean towards South Dakota plus 3 under 136.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to go to Ninja Chris, who said earlier this morning, "Yo, what up, Brock? Keep the cash going, my dude." All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. Now, guys, real quick, if you do end up getting a membership here today on that website, we utilize the Patreon platform. And the way Patreon does their billing cycle, they bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you're going to get billed today and then again tomorrow. So I strongly advise you, if you're interested in getting a package, your best value would be to get it tomorrow on December 1st. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.